You failed and you learned the lesson. It's always a win-win. Eh?
By the way, my wife said I don't give second chances.
Is it true?
She does not. She said it's 53.
You're listening to Musings with Morales. Brought to you by Dialysis Education Services.
Welcome to Musings with Morales. How you doing, Paco?
I'm excited. Congratulations.
Man, we made it to
Over 1,000.
a milestone a few days ago. Thank you. I missed it up. It's kind of, I don't know, it hasn't really set in, but I think the 100 mark was a point where I kind of took note that, like, when I look at the people who are subscribing to the channel, that are participating in our discussions, that, it's meaningful.
It is.
The feedback, the stories that we're able to share, the inspirations that we're able to provide, hopefully some lessons and some advices. I mean, even within our tight niche groups, maybe among the two of us, I think, we've had a lot to think about.
Yep.
I appreciate you, brother.
Likewise. The doubts, right? The doubts. And maybe to others who are about to do this, it's, you tell me, from the time that we planned this up to right now, it was exciting setting up the studio. It was okay doing the first, second, third episode. And then is it, true or false, imposter syndrome sets in, or is this even worth it? Did that cross your mind?
I would say so. I mean, it's, I've been a teacher since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, everything I get into, it's like, you gotta teach, you gotta share. You're able to duplicate, you're able to speak. And I don't feel like I can do that. I watched the videos back of our episodes and I'm like, holy shit. Just stumbling over words. I'm not a wordsmith. Although there are times where I think maybe I surprise myself.
Right.
But most of the time it's the opposite. I feel like, have you seen the videos of Tito, or sorry, man, I'm not making fun of that guy, but have you seen the videos of Tito Ortiz on YouTube?
No, maybe I should.
Okay, we'll have to look it up. But,
okay.
It's pretty fun because I actually liked the guy. I used to work out with him in Huntington Beach years and years ago when I was probably like 21, 22, something like this, and watched him, followed him through his career and then into his political career, and, kind of that crumbled down. But if you look on YouTube, there's so many disasters of his wordsmithing, and he was a
really?
Commentator for the UFC. Yeah, so it's pretty comical. So I feel like that's me quite often. Is I'm stumbling over the words, probably quite often misquoting, making misquotes.
Right.
I have to paraphrase Morales all the time, right? But yeah, I think it was there was a bit of imposter syndrome, but the thing that I keep telling myself is, like, there's a story to tell, and I think originally I thought, like, all these years it's teach Morales, share, even you should make content, things like this.
Oh, that was like more than a decade ago when I said that, yeah.
But what I'm finding out is, like, I think there's still a lot that I can share, but it's not my story. Like, there's so many other stories that need to be told, and
right.
Some of them are stories that, of adversity and triumph and things like this, and others are straight triumph. And, ultimately, I'd like to see everybody triumph, whether it be on the stuff we talk about in the healthcare world, preventing chronic kidney disease, treating the diseases itself, or managing the diseases itself.
Yes.
But I also, want to help people to avoid mistakes that I've made, mistakes that others have made. I can say I haven't made all the mistakes in the world, although I've made,
a lot.
Yeah, so many on a personal, professional level. But that's part of, like, getting to where we're at, right?
Yes.
And I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I want to be in life, professionally. Personally, I think that's probably always just a moving target.
Right.
But I'd like to help more, to share more, to learn more from the guests that we have, which I've learned so much already. And, musings or musing, I'm in a constant state of that. We've been talking about kind of what to do in upcoming episodes, right?
Yes.
I think there's a need for kind of a callback of some of our guests and a restructuring maybe of our conversations, because we've looked at a lot of people with chronic illnesses and people who help to care for them. And I'd like to kind of tell the story again over a few, maybe a series or something like that, that is kind of the full pathway of, prevention to entering into what we really talk about a lot, chronic kidney disease, and everybody around them, which we've kind of touched on, but a little bit scattered. So maybe reformat it a little bit.
Right.
The other thing that, looking at some of our guests, we've had a lot of motivational, inspirational conversations and guests, right?
Yeah.
Is to really kind of claw back on some of the business offerings, the business advices, because I've heard from a lot of people that that's really what they want to hear about. But, over the past few days, one of the things that's been really on my mind and keeping me up, to be honest, there are certain things that I'll share and certain things that I won't about why this is affecting me. By the way, we had a great time last Thursday. Thank you for inviting me out to your studio.
Paco's Place,
meeting
yeah.
the team. Yeah, Paco's Place. It was a great time. Really loved the studio, the ambiance, and then, kind of meeting some of the team, including the Doodles or
My doodle.
double doodles.
The double,
yeah.
Yeah, red, white, and blue, and
Yeah.
freedom, yeah.
So these, that was the first time I heard the different doodles. So what are they again?
So there's a Labradoodle. There's the Labradoodle is a mix between a standard poodle and the Labrador.
Okay.
And then we have the Golden Doodle. That's a mix between a Golden Retriever and a standard poodle. So now you have a Labradoodle and a Golden Doodle. They have babies. And they're called double doodles. Because it's like now you have a poodle and a poodle, but it's not a pure breed.
Yeah.
Right?
Is this a real thing, or is this what?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So, all right, I'm gonna go on a tangent a little bit here, but we've always had pets,
Yes.
and we had a pit bull, a small pit bull, one of the 45-pound, maybe 40-pound, like really they jump high.
The big ones, yeah.
Well, no, the smaller one that's
really?
like super sporty, probably the more dangerous ones because they can jump high and stuff like this. Anyways, really pretty little pit bull. And then
Okay.
we had a Chihuahua. By the way, the pit bull was a female, the Chihuahua was a male, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know much about Chihuahuas. I've only had one in my life, but that thing was, a rock star.
What was the name of your Chihuahua?
Oki. Yeah, my daughter named it.
I thought it was Oi Papi.
Wait.
No.
Anyways, these
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
the little guy was all over the pit bull, right? And
Okay.
they had a baby. So I'm curious, because I don't know if there's a true name of this, but it's a Chihuahua pit bull. So what's the name of that dog? Because since we got double doodle and Labradoodle and
Chupit.
what is it called?
Chupit.
Chupit. All right. How do you hear each other? That's Grace. How do you hear each other if you have headphones? It's plumbed into the headphone, Grace. So, I'm glad Grace is on because it kind of brings me to my point, something that's really been on my, maybe my heart, my mind. So, relationships, right? Like,
Wait, we're there now? I thought we were
Friendships.
still talking about mix.
well, I think you got it. Chupit is I think it's good.
How about a pit bull and a Shih Tzu?
Wait, what is that?
Or a bulldog and a Shih Tzu?
Bullshit. Okay, I mean they're hybrids, right? And they're getting registered, right?
Yes, sir.
I think Grace has one of these funny dogs too, right?
Labradoodle.
Like
She has one.
Yeah. So let's get to it. Because we've known each other 15 years
Yep.
now. We were networked.
Yeah.
15 years ago, became friends,
Stop there.
brothers. Yeah, but we were networked, right? So, and that's the reality of things is like we all came to each other somehow,
Yeah.
right?
Through someone.
Maybe or something,
something.
or an event,
Yep.
somewhere, whatever it might be. Hopefully it wasn't Vegas. Well, at least everybody forgets Vegas,
Yes.
right? So, but these relationships that we form, I just want to kind of think about this out loud, and anybody who's watching with this, feel free to join in. But like where you're at today, like how important were relationships, and I'll just give us a quick start. It's a relationship, but it's you're born into it, family, right?
Yeah.
and a family member with kidney disease that led me to this whole lifelong career to where I'm at today, right?
Yes, your uncle.
So the whole relationship with my uncle is probably the biggest, the
Influence?
the biggest influence, the most important relationship that I had,
Right.
as far as the professional growth and where I'm at today, and professionally, that's led to my that's led to my personal
Yeah.
being as well. I mean, if you met me years ago, I talked different. You know what I mean? Like, so even watching this, I'm like, wow, like, you don't sound the same way anymore, So how important has that been to you, Paco? To those of you who are joining us, how important have relationships been in your professional growth to get you where you're at right now today? We know we've got 15 years behind us, but I'm sure there's a bunch of other things.
Believe it or not, I just lost a friend.
Oh.
He's still alive, but he's not a friend.
Yeah.
What's more painful, right? Losing a friend through death,
Yeah.
or losing the friendship.
I don't know. Elaborate. I mean,
Okay,
you
so-
tell me.
This guy who I've known since he was a kid, right? You think that catfishing only happens between a man and a woman. Apparently, catfishing can happen between friendship. Like all this time, you think that you know the person
Yeah.
who is in front of you, whom you call your friend. It wasn't even a betrayal. It wasn't even that. Like you just figure out that, shoot, that was a facade.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there was nothing there in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're like, what the heck? So there's that, right? And through the years, like I love people. I love helping people without anything in return. Until of course I need something in return. But
Right.
but pretty much I don't go, hey, let me help you for this much.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
I never do that. I'm more, here's the recipe, because I believe that, and my close friends would say, why do you give away the secret sauce? And I keep saying, because they're not going to do it anyway. At least I don't come off as selfish. And if they do, they're not going to get the most important component or ingredient, which is me.
Right.
Right? So I'll just give the recipe. So I'll give any person the recipe. And as I grew older, Mike, I realized that I'm the minority and I've been doing it wrong. Or maybe not. Now, here's where you correct me, right? Because my heart is, whether it's music, whether it's anything, and you've known this about me. Like I knew you for less than an hour. I'm like, come to my house.
Yep.
Let's, or I'll come back. Let's,
Yep.
we'll shoot a video. Like
Yep.
if the heart is, I always see people with good intentions. Friends around me say they have to earn it. Me, I belong to the, you have to lose it. See, I see you going like that already. so-
No, you just, I as I'm sitting here, I had a flashback to that first video, man, and you're gonna have to pull that up because I think it's,
It's nice. Yeah.
You'll be able to see it, like right here, like what the,
Yes, it's
we
you.
haven't showed that here, right?
We haven't. We haven't. Incidentally, I'm wearing glasses. I'm sorry.
You look pretty good, pretty close to the same,
Yeah.
but I don't.
So there was that, Mike, and in coming to terms with relationships, as I've gotten older, I've become more cautious, for good or bad. I don't know. I don't want it to be like this, because. But then again, I'm beginning to believe now that the people who care about me are right and I am wrong. Have you ever encountered something like that, wherein you give your heart out, you give everything, and then your wife or your friends say, Mike, too much?
Yeah, so I mean, this is exactly, we're aligned on what I was, because I didn't prep you on this.
No.
But we're,
No script, huh? You
Yeah.
and me right now. Yeah.
by the way, that freestyle, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's speak easy here, and it's where my head has been. Is same thing. you give not to get.
Right.
You give to give. You give for purpose, and for kind of. For me, I've always been about like, if I'm doing something that's good for people, good for community, good for humanity, good for, it's got a higher purpose. Like the money's going to follow. I've always felt that. It doesn't always. It doesn't always work.
My point, yeah, right.
But yeah, like I've always done that way, right? And then there are times where I guess you're challenged from the people that you may work with, especially professionally. I think and family is. We're all guilty of it as well, of maybe sometimes not being the best on the other side of the relationship. Whether it be as a son, as a brother, as a sister, as a father, mother. We all are guilty of our flaws, right? But looking back at some of the relationships that I've had over the years, besides that original starting point, with my uncle, of course, he didn't want to have kidney disease, but he had it, and it taught me all that I've learned, and it gave me a purpose to learn more, to continue to learn, right? But over the years, there's been so many people like Grace, who's watching us, who have like supported, whether it be from a sideline or right up in the center of things, for that higher purpose. It's like maybe you're aligned, and maybe you got to find people that you're aligned with in that higher purpose, but not everybody is aligned with that, right? So you can be in the same industry. It could be a music industry, right? And there, like, how many different personalities are there in music? Like, why they do it, right? Some people do it for
the sheer passion of doing it,
for the art, for the fame, for the ability to give, maybe both through the music and the art, and through like some sort of monetization to maybe a church or to a cause or things like this. But I've come to find lately, and it kind of follows the ethic, and I feel like I'm just getting old, Paco. Like, you remember when you were a kid and people said like, this damn generation, you know what I mean? Like, I keep finding myself saying that, man. And it's like, there's no higher purpose. The purpose is how much is in my pocket right now in a lot of relationships. So it got me thinking about like, how important relationships are. And then in business, as we get older, especially, we start to hear like, as we go for promotions or as we go for bigger opportunities, we hear things like, your biggest asset is your network. Right?
I've heard that before. Now that you just reminded me about it. Yeah.
But what does that mean then? Like, it really got me diving into my thoughts of like, does that mean that my networks and my relationship are to be thought of as an asset
or investment? Because you know what, Brian? You remember Brian, my friend? Mm-hmm. He said, because I used to convince him to invest in the stock market, and he's like, I invest in people. That's very similar to what you said. Your greatest asset is your network, and that's what Brian said. I invest in people. Me, I'm kind of cringy that way, because I don't want to see people as investments, because there's expectation.
Exactly what I was thinking as well. It's like, you can't think of your relationships as an asset or as a value. Although, like you said, there are times when you make a call to somebody who you've given so much, and you kind of expect like, Morales, you're gonna have my back, right?
Just that, right?
Yeah.
No quantification of that. Just the assurance that I got you, you got me. Whoever's there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no non-quantified obligation. There you go.
Yeah, agreed.
You see what Grace said? I always believe that what I have is not mine. It's passed through me. That is actually intended for others or to others, right?
I mean, that's a nurse's heart, It really is. And I think as...
and Camila says hi.
My daughter,
Yeah.
Camila. I think, as Camila's an educator as well.
There you go.
New in the education world. But it's kind of been... Of course, it came from somewhere, but and I can't quote where it came from for me, is that like what I learned, because I've always been an educator, what I learned is not for me, it's for others. And then I think as a nurse as well, which I'm not a nurse, but, speaking to Grace's point, why do I go to school? Why do I learn all this stuff? It's not so I can sit there and sound smart, right? It's because I'm supposed to be giving all of this to people who, in a lot of cases, especially in like what I've made my career in, it's not about sitting down with you and plugging you into a machine 3 times a week and keeping my mouth shut and then, my job's done. It's about during that time empowering you through conversation and education and encouragement and reinforcement and things like this. So all the stuff that I learned in school, which nobody probably likes school, it's not for you, right? It's for the people that you're going to be serving down the line, whether it be, even with your music, like it's not for you, right? Although I'm sure you get a lot of joy and gratification out of it, but like we were just at a show Saturday night for Grace's birthday. Happy birthday, Grace, belated. But to watch, like, I was sitting there thinking, and by the way, I was like kind of in a crappy mood that night. My son was like, too loud and stuff.
Mason
like,
was?
Yeah. So I was in a crappy mood, but I was sitting there thinking, like, watching how, especially like that, people around you, like how the songs were in their heart, man, and they enjoyed the show. You guys, they were singing, they were dancing.
Did you enjoy the show?
Oh, absolutely. It was great, man. So playback jukebox.
Yeah.
I think we've seen maybe
3, 4. Wait,
Three.
no. 3. Yeah, you've seen it 3
shows
times.
with
Oh
you
my
guys.
God. Yeah.
And by the way, so I don't know if my wife's watching, but the other day she was like, oh, kind of tired. And I was like, no, we're going. And today I'm like, she's doing stuff around the house and I just hear her singing all these songs and it's like the same songs you got. I'm like, yeah, you said you didn't want to go, but you're...
Thank you, Kat.
So again, Paco, relationships as an asset. Nobody wants to, like, I think that's a foul. Like if you're like, we're friends because
That's like being a MacBook.
Yeah.
You know why?
Well, I don't. Tell me why, because you always tell me to get a MacBook. So
No, that's like being a MacBook, where MacBooks are user friendly.
yeah.
You don't want to be a friendly user.
Yeah. So again, that's on my mind, and
Yeah.
I'm curious if you've ever ran into that. You've got status. You know what I mean? With the level of success you've had in music, and others, like in the marketing world, I think there's a lot of people. My initial introduction to you was actually like to hire you, but I think there's probably a lot of people out there who would say, hey, Paco Ares Paco Chaga. Like, if you remember, like,
Yeah.
I was one of the few, like, I didn't know who you were
Right.
when we met, right?
Right.
So we're introduced as, I'm like,
I don't
know, right? Like, now I know, right?
I'm not Filipino, but see, Mike, that's where, and I hope you caught this with me to you. I've always protected you and your interest. I make sure I don't introduce you to other people who I think would be abusive of your generosity. Right.
Yeah.
And I've been abused for my generosity. I don't want to stop being generous. It's that the people around me, they get hurt. Same thing. Like if someone abuses you, Kat's gonna get hurt, Camila's gonna get hurt, I'm gonna get hurt. The people, your mom's gonna get hurt.
Yep.
The people who care about you are gonna get hurt. But you're gonna do it again. You're still gonna give. And that being said, it's a double-edged sword and a curse, because the whole status thing, looking back in hindsight, if I became a little bit more douchey or
Did you just coin that word?
like a douchebag, right? Like a little bit douchey, maybe I'd be wealthier. Because
Selling yourself. Selling
yeah, I mean, you want me to go to your party, pay me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I cringe. I mean,
Yeah.
or Paco, can you do a video greeting for my mom? $5 or $10. But why would I do that? I'm not that. But I've been accused by not accuse, but my kids would say, what's in it for your family?
So how do you reconcile that? I mean, what? Because again,
That's a real tough question, right?
yeah. I mean, I've been there. It's like, okay, and maybe this is a story. So, I started a business 2009. You were right there with
Yeah.
me. It turned into other projects and businesses, right?
Yeah.
Some of them failed businesses. Some of them investments that I still have today, new investments, add-ons to the business that I have, like consulting, right?
Right.
And I remember, gosh, probably 2012 or 13, going, I know compliance in healthcare. I can do stuff that I haven't done before, but I need somebody to let me do it. And it's like, well, I want to do a job for you, and I need to pay you that. Well, no.
Just let me do it.
Yeah. So I did that. Just let me do it. Like, I'll come in and I'll do a mock audit for you. I'll give you a statement of deficiencies and a plan of correction recommendation, right? And I did this for clinics and for free, right? And sometimes it had some sort of
Yeah, residual at the end.
down the line,
Yeah,
something, I remember one clinic, no pay, very thankful, gracious, no real opportunity for any of the people around my business, but donated a bunch of expired supplies. And I think we probably still have some of them today. She gave us so much, right?
Yeah.
So those sort of things have happened, right? But I would say, now where I'm at now, I get paid for that.
Right.
So I was building a reference, right? There have been things I've done for free out of the kindness of my heart, done great for people, made them deficiency free, trained staff, things like this, where I can't even get that reference.
You see what I mean? And so to piggyback on that, other people with a motive would stop and be disenfranchised by that kind of response.
Yeah.
Not you,
Yeah.
not me. We get sad, sometimes butthurt, disappointed, but never disenfranchised.
Now, you might have just caught my feelings for this week. And again, I don't want to share too much about the specifics of the reason why I got into this thought of just relationships and reciprocation of, hey, I guess it's, it's a bilateral.
Yeah.
Like, are there bilateral relationships and there are unilateral relationships? And I just see that majority are unilateral.
yeah.
So like, to your family's point, if you start off with that expectation of like, I'm going to get something out of this, then you guarantee in your engagement that you get that, but then you also miss out on a lot of opportunities
Yeah.
that will be that down the line sort of thing, right? In healthcare where I work, there's a lot of, well, I shouldn't say not anymore, but there used to be a lot of independent clinics that didn't have the infrastructure of big corporations and needed help. And there's still a few that we do jobs, but I always charge for.
Right.
Charge for them now, right? Maybe not as much as I should. So I still have that spirit.
Yes.
Of wanting to get my foot in and get something more long term. But again, this doesn't always pay off. In some cases, there's not even a thank, not even ability to get a reference out of a good job done. But if you were to look me up, on Google, on LinkedIn, things like this, you're going to find plenty of great things. It's not proportionate to the amount of things that we do, though, right? I'm sure if you looked at all the thanks you've got, there's so many more that didn't say thank you.
A lot.
Right?
And then some of them will even throw you under the bus.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the worst, right? It's like you've done for somebody and they throw you
Under the bus.
under the bus. So what's been your experience? Like, you said that you've been abused. Like, I think we're all human. So have you ever been in a place where you commodified the relationship yourself and And, did it come to light?
Oh,
Did it have an impact, long-term impact on that relationship?
I'm very easy. Like, if you do me wrong, I'm not gonna talk to you. I'm gonna miss you. But if you come my way and invite me out for coffee, I'm there.
So you don't avoid it, you just don't engage it.
Yeah, I'm there because I'm in my head. I'm thinking, you know what you did. You know why I'm distancing myself. You probably contemplated.
Sound like my wife, man.
You probably contemplated the brokenness of our relationship. You're reaching out to invite me to have coffee, and I'm gonna be an asshole by kicking you to the mud. I mean, at least I'm gonna engage. I'm gonna go. Come on, let's go. And maybe when we get there, let's find closure, or maybe not. You know what I mean? Like it's like, so what happened?
Who's Sir Ulo? Is that Brian?
That's Brian.
Hey, Brian. Yeah, man. I think that I've had those. I'm human. I'm 47, so for sure I've made a billion mistakes up
Yeah.
and down, including value on relationships, and
Right.
whether it be family, romantic, professional, all of it. Right? I've made mistakes in all of them, and I can say that the biggest common denominator in those mistakes related to relationships anyways is communication. Like the way that I communicate, the perception of the communication from the receiver,
Right.
and then even in some cases my ability to what's the right word, like, well, I guess maybe as a typical man, like my ability to say sorry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's tough, right? It's tough to
Yes.
say sorry when you know that you've done something wrong, when you know that you've not been your best.
So imagine, as a man, it's hard to say sorry.
Maybe for everybody it's hard. I don't know.
It's hard to say sorry, right?
I think I've seen a lot of memes about the women and the sorry and how they go around
Yeah.
it.
By the way, Janelle's there. So look, Janelle and,
Hi, Janelle.
and Brian are going hi, hello, hello, hi. So, but to that point, right? To that point, if I did you wrong, I'm gonna say sorry right away. You may not respond today, but it's not on me anymore.
Yeah.
You can contemplate for as long as you want, but the one thing you will never accuse me of is I waited too long to apologize. Because
I can definitely say I have. I mean, probably mostly with family. Thinking of the professional road, we, as a business owner, and,
Right.
and this is, yeah, man, I got to tell you what, it's great to own a business, but it's also like, if you could only get it right the first time and every time, you know what I mean? Because especially relationships.
yes,
I've been in HR positions in companies as well, and oh my God, there's just so many mistakes you can make as a manager, as a C-suite, as a leader in an organization, or even as a staff, a frontline staff in an organization. As a business owner, I can say that, the value that employees and contractors that they feel
Yeah.
from a leader is the most important thing.
of course.
They cannot do their job, or they will not do their job if they don't feel
Valued.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not by their boss, but by their leader.
Absolutely.
Two different things.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. So, I mean, it's kind of like you think about Maslow's, right?
Yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy, and we look at the basic foundation, and that's just physiology, right?
Right.
But as you get all the way to the peak of it, like autonomy, self-actualization, and the ability to like see something, right? We always say like stay out of the weeds, people got to be in the weeds, but you also got to look up every now and then
Yeah.
and see where you're going, and have like that in your hope, right?
Yes.
Just like a person that has a chronic illness needs hope to fight through it. An employee needs hope to
That
give 100 plus.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100% because otherwise that's where stagnation happens.
Yeah.
Whether with regard to disease, with regard to social status, there's a strata that people need to go up, down, sideways.
Oh yeah.
Too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And like, let's talk about Jimmy. I'm gonna veer. Jimmy, our friend Jim Q, right? He watches the podcast. Kidney transplant recipient, kidney recipient. Okay, his wife, Lolet, took care of him his whole decade plus journey into dialysis. Not even 2 years of having a new kidney, Lolet passed away.
Oh gosh.
Like, it was her mission to take care of Jimmy. And like, she just felt weak after taking a shower, had a heart attack, and died.
Wow. Just suddenly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Usually Jimmy's on with us.
Right?
Condolences to Jimmy. I didn't know that was part of the story here.
That's why his passion and when I was talking to him, he was like, do I die because the love of my life is gone? Or do I stay because the last decade plus, the love of my life took care of me and kept me alive?
Wouldn't have got there without her, right?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just, that's like in the weeds, out of the weeds, like looking up, like where is he now? What
Yeah.
will he do? And I'm thinking, oh my God,
Found a higher purpose again, right?
yeah, he had to, he has to, right? So
I'm curious. We've got a few people with us. Does anybody have any stories of relationship being monetized, whether it's me and you, or it's somebody doing it to us? So again, does
in a
anybody
good way or in a bad way?
I would say, maybe it could be both. There are a lot of stories that ways that relationships can be monetized that
Yes.
we haven't even talked, because I'm talking professionally, right? But
Yes.
like let's talk to our younger crowd that maybe is not professionals yet, right? And this might be an out of bounds topic. Jaja, you tell me. But if I goes like, oh crap. but there's an actual whole culture of people who they're called sugar babies.
Sugar babies.
Right. So anybody know about these sugar babies? They can be sugar boys or sugar girls, right? Yeah, it's like, what the heck's he talking about? But I mean, it's another relationship that, to the most pure form, is being monetized, right? Like, we're going to spend time with each other because you're taking care of me, right? I mean, is it any different than
a sugar daddy?
Well, is it any different than
Than a caregiver?
Well, maybe. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
Think about it.
yeah, by the theory of it is very similar. But I mean, is it any different than the relationship between us and our superiors in a corporate environment? Is it any different than a salesperson that is whining and dining a surgeon or a business owner?
Oh, so there is, but you see, there's mutual benefit in that.
And which one?
In everything that you said, sugar babies, sugar daddies, marketer and doctors, salesperson selling like
Sugar-free daddy. Why is that? Is that from pre-diabetes or what? Like,
Pakis sugar free. but seriously, like I know people here in the States, and chime in if this is one of you, they would be retired at age 55 or 60. Like if you started at 20 and you joined, or 17, you joined the military, how many years before you retire? 20 years, right? So 17, 37, you retired from.
All right, Paco, the truth is coming out now. But
Brian is.
so, all right. So I just got to share what's going on in chat. Is we're getting confirmation that Paco is a sugar daddy. That's two that have confirmed Paco. I don't know. I think two gets the label, man.
I know. No, because my wife is 16 years younger than me, right? But when I retire, she'll be my sugar baby.
Okay, so
See what I mean?
what's the best joke you've had about the age gap between you two?
She was my daughter. She's my daughter.
That's the joke? That she was your daughter?
So I was married to a popular singer back in the day, Geneva. Okay, Geneva Cruz, and we have a son. His name is Heaven, but there are people who think Heaven is a girl,
Oh, gosh.
right? And
No, he's not. He's a big dude.
He's
so-
a big dude. My social media profile picture has me and my wife, me and Janelle. I kid you not. There was a comment that actually said, "Oh my God, your daughter with Geneva is big na."
That's great.
I even commented and said, "Whom does she look like? Does she look like Geneva or me?"
So, man, I don't even want to roast you, but
Go.
it's a joke that I heard is like they kind of say like, you know, what do you guys do after you do her homework? Sorry, Jaja, I had to get that in there, but no.
Hey, but Jaja's in school, right? So there is homework, and what we do
That's
after
right. That's right.
what we do after homework is between me and her.
That's great.
So, yeah, there's that. But to your point, the transaction, right? Like me and Janelle, where we have a relationship. So the benefit that we have isn't monetary; it's more emotional. Our currency is emotional. So we have emotional currency between us.
Yeah.
And if it's not the same, then we have a problem. The monetary currency, that's not a problem. We either both have none or both of us are in abundance, but what's mine is hers, what's hers is hers. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Man, like I gotta like make sure I keep track of how many bank accounts we got. Like,
Right?
Where did it all go? Oh, it's in another one. That's my life, man. Like, how much is in this? You know, like
Exactly. But sugar babies, sugar daddies, marketer doctor, or pharmaceutical rep doctor, they both benefit from each other differently. Now, the currency being used may not be limited to monetary
Right.
currency exchanges,
Right.
right? There are physical currencies involved. The question is, if both parties are cognitive to the benefits that come after that, and no one is
just
being
blew my mind, man. Seriously. So
no one is being railroaded in the process.
No,
Yeah.
professional relationships are so often unilateral. One person's benefit, right? Like, hey, you know, especially when you're working. Especially when you're working with like physicians and
Right.
owners of healthcare organizations. Like, what can you do for me? I can do all this, 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 and this, and then can I get a
Can I get a
phone?
wah-wah? Yeah.
You know, like no. You know, can I get some mileage? No. Like, come over here 2 hours away from your home and just come over here and help me out, right? So yeah, it's I think quite often professionally we find ourselves in a one-way road as far as the value of things. And again, you just blew my mind because thinking about, you know, the value of the marketing relationship. And I mean, let's face it, like I'm not going to blow a whistle on anybody here, but like I've worked in
There are only
healthcare
two of us,
environments. Hey, we both worked in healthcare environments
Yes.
where when we talk about a marketer, we're probably thinking about the same marketers.
Right.
When you think of like the long-term care
Yeah.
side of things.
Oh my God.
But tell me about what you experience. Who are the marketers?
I mean, okay, like marketers for healthcare. These are, by the way, look at what Janelle said. Usually after your podcast,
Yeah.
my God, he goes to sleep.
You get tired? That's when we have Scotch, brother.
Homer goes, hi, Michael. Hi, Sir Papa. Hello, Homer.
Homer's with us. He's in the Philippines also.
Nice.
I think in the BCG area. Is
Okay.
that BCG?
Yeah.
BCG?
Yeah. Nice place.
Yeah.
Okay. So marketers for sniffs, right? I have a friend, he's my age, but if you look at him, he looks a lot older than me. And you wonder why.
He's not a marketer.
He's a marketer.
What the? Okay, so you just blew my stereotype.
No,
concept
no.
here.
Because we're talking. I mean, there are the guys and then the sexy girls as marketers, right? But they're. It's sad because the women in marketing for healthcare are objectified. I'm sorry, but I have to say it.
Well, I mean, I got to ask this, and maybe it's we're in a crowd, and how many people are with us right now? I see only one of the platforms, but maybe it's a question for some of the ladies that are watching us. Is it objectified, or is it in some cases leveraging a tool?
It depends whose lens we're looking from, because don't tell me a hot young female marketer doesn't know she's a hot young female
Right.
marketer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when I was doing the whole ambulance thing, why did I even say that? My wife is watching. But when I was doing the whole ambulance marketing thing,
Got you in trouble already, man.
exactly right.
It's the couch.
I have to. I mean, I have to look presentable.
Right. Yeah.
I can't look trashy because that's part of. I mean, your personality, how
Part of
you look.
delighting the crowd, right?
You're an eye candy.
Yeah.
And I'm not pretending that I didn't know that. My wife wasn't pretending she didn't know that. Sometimes she would say, make sure you put lotion on your elbows.
You got ashy elbows.
Yeah, right? I mean, she would say that. So there's that. So now, you were saying objectification, or do they actually know this? In my opinion, they actually know this. Now, within the parameters of work, it's fair game. It's when it becomes unilateral, wherein one party just wants to take but doesn't want to give.
Right.
And that goes both ways.
Yeah. Agreed.
Dr. X has been giving marketer Y a ton of patients.
Yeah.
But marketer Y doesn't give Dr. X any attention. I'm not saying interaction, but just attention.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we had a conversation with somebody not long ago, and it was, it wasn't related to relationships, but it was in a roundabout way with Omar Khatib. And, he talked about presentation. He talked about, the physicality of being somebody in sales.
Yeah.
We didn't go down the eye candy road, but I mean, you saw Omar. He's a
Good-looking
fit
guy.
Trimmed up,
Yeah.
dressed well.
Yeah.
Obviously had the same approach as what you're saying. And if you checked out his LinkedIn page or anything like that, he's into fitness, BJJ, biohacking, like the ice baths and stuff
Right.
like that. So I would agree. You got a mixed bag out there, and like my first experience with kind of, I don't know what that tactic of marketing is called, but my first experience was running a nursing home, and I took over this nursing home. We had a marketer, a paid marketer, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't the old guy that you mentioned. He was like a young dude. He was fit, like Filipino dude, like big ass biceps, big smile, like nice looking guy, right? Young kid, I don't know, 30 or something like that. and we both came on about the same time. Now, me and him are stark difference, right? I've been accused of like the short, fat, bald, like right.
You
and
weren't
he's-
fat
he's-
before. How old were
I
you?
was 7, 8 years ago.
Okay.
So we were starkly different, put it that way. Like he definitely fits the mold of a salesperson, and he'd go out to the hospitals, work with case managers, which in most cases were like a bunch of ladies that were nurses that were discharge planning patients out of the hospital into skilled nursing facilities. The perfect person for the job. Young guy, big smile, brings, cake and boba and shit like this, right? And then I took over the nursing home, and it's like, okay, he came in maybe a week before me. We the first thing on the agenda is like, go get us some patients. Like, you're the admin, you're the face of the clinic, go get us some. So I go out to the clinics and I start talking to case managers myself at the hospitals, start bringing in patients. And we do like a roll call on the census after, I don't know, 45 days, 60 days, something like this. And it's like, how many patients did this guy bring in? This good-looking, big smile.
He's a marketer, right?
He's the marketer.
You're
what-
the admin.
And I'm having to learn all this stuff I don't know, right?
You're AIT or admin?
No, I was admin.
Admin, okay.
So how many did he bring in?
Less than you.
He brought in one. And I brought in like 30 Medicare patients, which if you know the nursing
Yeah.
home, it's like,
That's gold mine. That's a lot.
So obviously, I'm not leveraging looks nor charisma, because you guys all watched, whoever's watching us now has watched the show. I don't have that charisma that's going to make you go like, oh, let me jump into business with this guy. But I sat there and I said, here's my approach, Paco. It's like, and it's the approach you have as well, because maybe implicitly is, you have a need, you have a problem.
I have a solution. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with that.
Let's close the gap.
Let's start with that
Yeah.
one first.
But you know what? Okay. I will never forget this story. I was 18. I was 18. And there was this hot bartender at this club. And Brian knows this story because I would take Brian with me. And we would go there at the end of her shift. This hot girl.
I'm glad you put the her in here, because like you
Yes.
just said hot bartender. I was like, wait, hold on.
Okay. And right beside me, there was this old guy. Old being 40 or 50, right? 18, 19, that was my age. And he goes, oh, so you're waiting for her? And I go, yeah, I'm taking her home. Cocky
Yeah, yeah.
19-year-old
Yeah, yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
right? Good-looking kid, I would say, compared to him, right? And he was just smoking.
It's like, yeah, watch.
And he's like, you're probably going to take her home tonight. I go, yeah. But that would probably be the only night you'll take her home. Because you probably don't have enough money to come back tomorrow. But at the end of the day, she'll probably have you for one night. But to make her choose between you and me, she'd probably pick me. Because I bring security. You're simply eye candy.
Oh no, yan. Hot bartender. Kiwi. Is that say Kiwi? Ike.
Yeah.
From Philippines. That's nice.
Yeah.
We've got some.
Grace goes, oh no, yan na. There it is, hot bartender daw. No, but it's true though. Like that story, that guy made me talk to my kids to let them know that you're only eye candy while you're young. But
man.
you guys have to make sure that you got your pockets or your credentials or your personality runs deeper than being eye candy.
Oh yeah, it run. I mean, in the scheme of life, right? Like, where do you spend
Right.
the bulk of it? Not in that stage, right?
No, like you, admin, marketer.
Yep.
Whether you know a lot or not, when a case manager talks to both of you, this guy has to answer to the administrator or the DON.
Cut out the middleman. And by
Right?
the way, when we did a roll call, it was like, hey, fire the marketer, the ownership, fire the marketer. Like, we don't need him. Like,
Right?
there's a whole story behind that.
Oh, my
Hey,
God.
let me tell you that one, relationship wise, and probably not the greatest story. I wasn't in my control, but this guy, we were just at Jerry's Grill, right?
Yeah.
So one day, I get a phone call from some friends, and they go like, "Hey man, like, oh man, we knocked this guy out at Jerry's Grill," and I'm like, "Why are you telling me? Why are you calling me? You know, first thing in the morning and telling me you knocked this guy? Oh, it's the so and so. Remember you introduced us to him? They own some healthcare companies. Remember you introduced us to him? He was your marketer." And I was like, "What happened?" I was like, "Oh, he had nothing but horrible things to say about you, like really talking trash, right?" And we told him, "Say it again." And he did. So, you know, so-and-so, a good friend of mine, actually the guy who was my preceptor as a dialysis tech 20 whatever years ago, he's like, "Oh yeah, he knocked him out in front of Jerry's Grill," right? But, you know, relationship-wise, like, I don't condone. I was like, guys, you shouldn't.
No.
You know, you should just let him talk it. You know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, looking at relationships, like those are people who I know, like,
They have your back.
you know, they got my back even when I'm not there.
Exactly.
So
And see, that's what Janelle said. You have to surround yourself with people who have that character trait,
yeah, the integrity.
not those who will come into your circle to mooch on your knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I'm thinking about my son right now and kind of relationships as value, right? I think we're aligned that we can't treat people as a commodity, and you know, relationships are strongest when they have something else behind it, right?
Yes.
Common purpose, memories, whatever it might be, right? But then there's also business that, I mean, we met with Gisela like not too long ago as well, and I think, you know, her business and financial education services, like she appeals to all. But if you said like who if I was a financial person, who would I really want to be around? I want to be around 6, 7, 8 figure
Yes.
earners. So where am I going to network? I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Like, where am I going to hang out if I'm trying to be at that caliber? What kind of friends am I going to try to make? Am I going to try and like hang out in the neighborhood? Or am I going to go out of the neighborhood and you know, get
Right.
to the spots where,
Where they hang out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you said, like you got to be around people that have that caliber.
Yes. Because it's osmosis eh. Subliminally, you and I we have that process. We have that osmosis going on. I'm learning from you, you're learning from me.
It's like equilibrating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
That's a dialysis principle or a scientific principle.
is it?
Yeah, we talk about osmosis all the time. So, I mean, when there's differences between people, right?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's a principle of like intersubjectivity as well, right? You tell me, now I change. I tell you, you change, right? Same thing as osmosis. Is there's a difference between
Yes.
solutions. They're
And then
different, so they get the same. Get like me, right?
And I'm learning. I'm learning with regard to not only from you, but from the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And I see the way they show their respect toward you. You know, it increases your high value status, and that's very important.
Yeah.
And I think it made our relationship deeper. Right.
Absolutely.
Those things. When you come down to a playback jukebox show or any event that I do, I don't treat you like a fan. Like, I
Right.
mean, you're my VIP.
Right.
And
Yep.
you see that, okay, now you're in my world. And like there's a shout out will happen.
Oh yeah. Well, I took my mother-in-law and like. By the way, I was so surprised because wasn't she would like take a picture?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my god, like. So I got that.
And even Benji would, I don't even know, Benji gave you the shout
Yeah,
out.
yeah, he's great.
Right?
He's very, very humble guy.
Yeah.
So my son, my wife has a friend that is like, she has a child from one of Snoop Dogg's children, right?
Really?
And occasionally we'll go to some of her
Okay.
son's birthday party or events, and it's like Snoop Dogg will be there coloring or
Because
stuff
Snoop Dogg is the grandfather.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not the type of person that's like going to be like, hey, let me take it, let me get an auto. I'm never like that. And by the way, Snoop's my era, right? Like that's
Yes.
definitely my era and kind of the neighborhood. But my older daughter went and with her friend and he's like, oh, can you take a picture of us? And I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, yeah, I would never do this. But like, for some reason, I actually took them and I don't do that stuff, man. Like, I just want to leave you in peace, like, you're good. So, to my point though, financial services, like
Yeah.
high ticket sales.
Yes.
My son, who I think you've met.
Yes.
Well, you've met him plenty of times, but since he's been older, like looks like a different guy, right? He's in a business that only people who have money could participate in, owning koi ponds and
Yep.
purchasing expensive fish, right? So, I'm really proud of his savviness to get to that crowd, and I think he's finding himself as an adult on how to balance out the relationship with people, because people who have money aren't always good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not always good. Sometimes people who have a lot of money got it in ways that you don't want to
Yep.
be a part of, right? But like, he said something to me the other day, and I was like, he's got a plan. He's like, I've got a membership at like every cigar lounge around town in all these different areas, right? He's playing golf, which I think we were here
Yes,
talking about. Like, I
yes.
need to start playing golf. Why?
To network, to meet
Network,
people.
and he's doing that, right? So he's putting himself in the places where he can interact with people that are at that caliber. And then it's now, I think, probably, and I don't know because I'm not with him, but probably there's some learning on how to navigate the relationships from there on out. Because I'm going to go out and find people, but that doesn't mean I can treat them like you're, I'm here because you're a billionaire, right? If you're going to leverage a relationship, or you're going to have a relationship outside of the transaction. And what do you think about that?
I think there has to be respect. Like, let's use this. I'm in your world now. This is Musings with Morales. This is not my show, and I'm very aware of that. Even with our guests, unless you introduce me, I don't introduce myself. Right?
I hope I've always introduced you.
You have, and you've always gotten my back. Sometimes, like, I feel that, you know what, Mike, I'm here to support you. This is not about me. Same thing. If we're talking to billionaires, they know who they are.
Yeah.
They know that we're in their world. It's their game.
Yeah.
And every move we make, they already assume that we're out to get a piece of what they have.
Right.
They know that. So now we have to be fully aware of the fact that what can we give them? Because the little thing that we can give them might be a big thing to them. Again, let me repeat that. The little, we think it's little because we see them as this great big billionaire. So for us, we think that, oh my God, this might not be enough. But the fact that we're the ones giving, and let's go back to the beginning of this episode, without really thinking of getting anything in return,
Yeah.
pays more dividends. But again, you know what they say, right? An asshole with money doesn't become generous. He just becomes a bigger asshole.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
So there will still be those people who people like us may encounter, and they take advantage of the little thing we have, which is why they became rich, because they took advantage.
Somebody, I think.
Am I making sense?
100%. I think there's also a known science behind that, because if you talk to, like, especially the Bs, the billionaires, they'll say things like, if you've never been sued, you're never going to be successful.
Yeah.
If you've never stabbed somebody in the back, I mean, we can look at a lot of billionaires and just kind of look at what they've done, and they're not making friends all the time. Right?
It's always lonely at the top.
Yeah. Well, and quite often that agenda is actually there of a unilateral relationship. Let me milk you out. I mean, I'm not bashing financial services, but I would say with every industry, there's bad apples. And I've sat in because I participate in financial service activity before. I've sat in the sales meetings and heard people literally say, like, milk them before they disappear.
Yeah.
These sort of things, right?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with like the
Yeah.
multi-level networking
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like this?
yeah.
Yeah, like milk them before they, like, hey, you got like, on
7
average,
years.
you got this many days, right? You've got to get all their network, get their whole family to buy stuff and just
Yep.
like all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, that's an example of, because when you think about services like MLM, what do they leverage?
Actually, when you say what do they leverage people, network.
They leverage people's
Yeah.
networks.
Yeah.
So me to,
Let me get into your Rolodex or your phone book.
yes, yeah, right out the gate.
Yes.
You want to do what I do? Give me the whole list of people. Oh, but that's going to exhaust my list. That's okay because that's your training time. Then you'll train somebody else and you'll take
Yeah.
all of their list. And I mean, it works. It does work. But let's not look past the fact that it's very intent. It's the intent to say
Yes.
a person has this many people that they know in close contact. Everybody's got this many people on speed dial, these sort of things, right? That's a very, very, I think, intentful industry to say leverage the network. That's why it's multi-level networking, right? And I think it's a beautiful science, but it can also be ugly for the people who don't make it.
Let's talk about the people who don't make it. Do they not make it because the expectation was wrongly presented? Or because, Mike, let's go to the story of the hare and the turtle. I think those who don't make it in any endeavor
Yeah.
have a hare mentality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Because whether it's multi-level marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's accounting, whatever it is, like even this podcast, we're a turtle. We show up every week.
Yeah.
Paco's Place, that's a hare. Because there's no set date when.
Oh, really? I thought you guys were...
Well, twice, thrice. Like
Okay.
people don't know. Are we coming out with 3 episodes this week or 2
Gotcha,
episodes this
gotcha.
week? Right. Oh, look what Brian said.
Yeah, 10K, let's go.
Yeah.
No,
And-
I agree with that. So you're saying that distraction is the so is the what's the other one, like you're an inch away type of.
Yeah.
So some
And then
people are
you- and then you
distracted
quit.
and some people give up, right? So even like you said, the tortoise and the hare, or
Yeah.
sort of like it's about keep going, and I know for sure, and I don't know if anybody who's watching this I've said to, but I've used that you're an inch away. Kind of, finding the little illustrations you'll find on social
Yes.
media. I've sent them to people in certain cases.
Like
that-
the gold mine.
yeah, that they're like, I think sometimes, I don't know, maybe I'm like in sync with them, and it's like, hey, send something like that. It's like, I needed that today, because I know a lot of business owners, right? That people are like, just like we were, starting
Yes.
from zero, building, and then it all of a sudden gets very lonely, very discouraging. And the reason we're talking about this right now, Paco, and Grace would know this. I talked to her. I was like, I'm really discouraged with humanity, like on some of the stuff that's
Yeah.
happened to me this week. And it's not happened to me. It's just realization of how people see that relationship, and not just the relationship, but also like the higher purpose.
Yes.
In being able to help people.
Yes.
Looking at people as risk or commodity rather than like, hey, especially in what I do,
Yeah.
rehabilitating, getting back to life, which I think we've talked about a few
Yeah.
times. How often does somebody who finds themselves with an end stage kidney disease find the opportunity to fully rehabilitate? And, when I find people who aren't willing to participate in those sort of initiatives, it really disheartens me.
Of course.
But I guess, without saying too much again, like what discouraged me this week is like I really called on some favors, not for myself, but for somebody else that, yeah.
and you got rejected.
Yeah, I got rejected, but not just rejected, but really like clearly people showed their colors.
Like,
say-
wait. Stonewalled, like ignored.
No, more of like, this is what I value. And exactly what we're talking about is
Yeah.
I value money. I value, now,
Right.
not what could be.
Right.
And I understand that. I think that we can only spend the money that's in our pocket. We can only reap the rewards that we've
Right.
already earned, right?
Yes.
And we're not going to live forever to be able to realize the favors that we are hoping are going to come true, right? So again, to me, it's like do the favor without expecting it. Do something good without expecting a thank you, without expecting money, things like this. It's good when you get those things. I'm not saying,
But it's sad, no?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It is sad. Oh, how about this? So you've experienced this. You've experienced this week, right? You and me, we're not stupid people. We know when we're being played. However, what's wrong with you and me? We know we're already being played, but we're still giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's I think that's kind of treating everybody as family, man. If to be honest with you, like
Right?
you have several kids, I have several kids, and you know, I don't want to say plain, but like there's a tolerance to like how much abuse you'll take, right?
But it's still abuse. That's the played, abused. You know, like don't we have to be mindful of those things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you know, it makes me think about my mom because I'm an only child.
Yes.
I put her through a lot for sure, and then I had a bunch of kids, and now they're having kids, and she's a young grandma, great
Grandma.
right?
Yeah.
So when you add people to the mix, then there's just more events,
Yes.
right? So it's like, oh, Michael pissed me off, and so and so did this, and so it's a lot of things, and when you add it up, I mean, how does that impact people? When you're so many people. So we talked about this, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like you get it. I think Gisela may have said something along the lines of like punishing people for blood they didn't draw or something along. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
again.
because you're in a
I'm
bad
Tito Ortizing again.
like like you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You're in a bad mood, right? You're in a bad mood, so your crosshair is activated. Anyone who comes in the middle of your crosshair gets whacked.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to be that way. Like you said, I don't want to turn off, right?
Yeah.
Healthcare workers, we get like, I remember this from when I was like very young. Oh, to be a dialysis tech or to be a nurse, you have to put up a wall because you can't get close to people. You can't take it personal.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I never could do that, man. Like, I can't not get close to people. I can't put up that wall because I feel like
These
cheating them.
are people. They can't be transactional.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that with a camera, with a phone,
Mm-hmm.
but with a person as a commodity
Yeah.
can't be in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
I teach CPR. Every student that comes to my class who are healthcare professionals, I tell them, you're here because you were compelled to be here. Otherwise, you'd be taken off the schedule without an active CPR card. Right? But do you guys actually know CPR? Because the patient in room 12, bed B, you don't have a relationship with that patient. If that patient passes away, the business office is going to tell the marketer to get another patient to replace the patient that passed away. You didn't have to do CPR. You got paid your 40 hours or whatever. That was transactional. But what if that was mom? What if that was dad? And your CPR knowledge or alleged knowledge could have saved them.
Right.
But instead, your brain was going transactional. It's not going to happen to me. You weren't looking at the patient as a person. You were just looking at the patient as your meal ticket, not thinking that it could happen to you. I mean, that's how bad it is, even with people.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think back to when Luz told us, that we it was something about like we think that it's not going to happen because it happened to our neighbor, But it's something that every health. I mean, we should all be thinking. It's like treat people like
Yeah.
the person we love the
Yeah.
most, right? And back to the schooling side of things, right? When they go through, that's one thing that really it's mind-boggling is people go through and there's been a lot of bad business around CPR as well. But people they have CPR cards, they don't know it. They can't even sometimes can't perform.
Can't
CPR,
perform.
Right? I've seen people like turn around, like act like they didn't see what's going on with the patient because they're so scared of.
When I go into a class, I ask them to tell me what they think I do for a living. And by the way, this story is still in line with how we see people, right? Especially in the healthcare industry. So I tell all these people wearing figs scrubs, right? They all look like nurses or healthcare professionals. Again, the third word, professionals. I ask them, so what do you guys think I do for a living? They'd say, I'm a teacher, a dancer, a singer, blah, 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 whatever. And then I tell them, I'm a professional drummer. Again, I am not an amateur drummer. I am a professional drummer. Which means if you make me play any beat that's on the chart, that's playable, I should be able to play that. But at the core of me as a drummer, I should be able to play a beat. Like if someone calls me to the stage because I'm a professional drummer, I should be first responder ready to be able to play a beat. Because I am a professional drummer.
Right.
I don't need to rehearse.
Yep.
You guys are professional. You guys are not healthcare amateurs.
That's right.
You guys are healthcare professional. And that CPR card, that's your first responder credential. That if shit hits the fan, you're ready to move forward to see what's going on.
I mean, I always say that when people see those scrubs, period,
You're right?
forget about the card. They already assume you can do that.
Yes.
Like they just assume that if I drop, like you're going to be able to.
Yes, revive, to help.
Yeah.
Right? But unfortunately, that's not the case. Because when I ask them, who can perform CPR right now? I'll excuse you. I'll let you go. I'll let you leave the class if you can perform. No one can.
They're not ready to do a quick demonstration, huh?
And my point, Mike, is I'm not here to teach you CPR. My job is to recertify the fact that before I came in, you actually know CPR.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like riding your Uber driver and your Uber driver looking at you going, and you're like, go. And he goes, but I just have a driver's license. I don't even know how to drive.
So Paco, how old are you? 52. 52. I'm 47. I think, maybe when we met, we probably looked the same age. I probably passed you now. But we've always had that, big brother relationship, right? And so back to relationships, right? And value, and you've always said, hey, you should, this is, there's a lot of guidance there.
And likewise, right? You've done that to me also.
So let's talk about that side of it. I mean, that's an intangible value, right, in a relationship. And okay, so we just said it's like bilateral.
Yes.
But then you find yourself. Let's go the other way. Like, people can use us as a commodity. We could use people as a commodity, or we could willingly, in this case, like we've already said we do, but in this case, like, and knowingly say, I'm here, I'm trying to give advices to a person, whatever it is, like what we're doing with the podcast, period, I think,
Right.
But on an individual basis, like, hey, like I've got a friend right now, we were talking about it. He's 10 years younger than me, right? And his IQ is well above mine. His savviness to business, well above mine. His life experience is 10 years younger. And, maybe some of the things that he's facing are things that I've faced. and probably failed.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like I learned the lesson.
Yeah.
My bad. You know, that type of stuff, right? So how do you feel about like outside of the knowing that I'm being abused, and because I don't think that's the same. It's not knowing I'm being abused. Like somebody that I've got a professional partnership, relationship with, but we're friends, and something off. You know, hey, can I talk to you? Like, can I call you? Again, do you have my back?
right.
Type of thing.
The
Like,
assurance part. Yeah.
yeah. So you said it earlier. You don't want to turn that off. You don't want to turn off your giving nature. Do you have, I guess, those sort of relationships now? Aside from what we've got, are you mentoring people? Are you
Yeah.
providing guidance? I know you've done some stuff,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
new stuff business wise with your studios
Yep.
and some artists. Can you share like kind of maybe what's the past, what's where you're at now with some of those
Yeah.
mentorships, and like you're obviously not discouraged from the lessons in the past or the relationships.
Like
in
what
the
you
past.
said. I mean, what did you say? Well, you failed and you learned the lesson. It's always a win-win. Eh?
By the way, my wife said I don't give second chances.
Is it true?
She does not. She said it's 53. You get 53 chances, right? We were just joking about this earlier. So yeah. Sometimes it takes multiple lessons, right?
Yeah.
To knock it through.
Like whether I'm mentoring, whether I'm mentoring someone, like JJ. You know, I hope he's watching. Like
JJ?
Yeah, JJ and I have been together since we were born.
Really? Like literally that long?
Yeah, he's a month older than me. We were playmates. Our parents were friends. We were playmates. Practically grew up together. But even if I was 1 month younger, since I'm in my family group, I'm the eldest. He's the youngest. Somewhere like big brother to his personality, right? But I don't know, for whatever reason, we gravitate toward each other, and he would come to me, he would ask for advice, but he would never listen. But I would spend hours mentoring the guy, and he would not listen. It took a while, okay? It took a long while. Now he's come full circle. We have a band together, that playback jukebox thing. His big brother's not in the band. You see JJ's character personality when he's behind the keyboard. Like, that's a man.
Yeah.
That's a rock star right there.
Yep.
So I was like, I gave him 53 chances.
So you get 53 too?
Yeah, because remember, again, the span is since birth,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, my wife gave 53 in like a much shorter time span.
Let's read what Grace said. At one time, I actually performed the CPR right in the middle of of South and Gridley. Oh, that's Starbucks.
I remember that.
Dragged an unresponsive guy out from his car, and see,
Yeah. And you know, Grace is, I don't know, she's a very petite
yeah,
tiny lady, but I remember this, seeing some postings or some article about it or something. Again, the nurse's heart, right? And it doesn't turn off, right?
it's supposed to not turn off.
Yeah.
So back to being discouraged. Maybe I've come to learn over, because what you have, what I have, this is our personality trait. The people around us, they probably have a different personality trait. They probably will give you one chance and that's it. You're
Yeah.
excommunicado.
Yeah.
But for you and me, it's like, he just messed up.
Yep.
You know why? Because you and me were prone to messing up also.
Yeah, there's a level of empathy and human, right?
Like, who are we not to give chances
Yeah.
when we ourselves?
I kind of also grew up as like, whoever in the family cussed me out, yelled at me, fought, it got physical even. But it's like, well, that happened.
Right?
Like, yeah, tomorrow. It's like, oh, sorry. or maybe it took longer than tomorrow
Yeah.
to say sorry, but
Yeah.
or sometimes never said sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe, or never said sorry, but if the opportunity comes, you know what I mean? Because that's where you just feel embarrassed or whatever. But
yep.
I've had those moments wherein I've done someone sideways, and shoot, I had that opportunity to apologize, did not apologize. But in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna. If the opportunity comes, I'm gonna apologize. So I have that mindset. It hasn't
yeah.
manifested, but
Yeah.
I'll apologize.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank God I was able to fulfill every apology I needed to do.
Yeah.
Like just today, someone did me sideways, big time. Huh? Someone did me sideways, big time. I saw that it was his birthday today. Sent him a message. This guy did me sideways.
Kill him with kindness.
My thing is, this guy did me sideways, and the people he trusted did him twice, thrice, 4 times
Okay. Yeah.
worse than what he did me.
Yeah.
So today I greeted him happy birthday, and he hearted that message.
So you know, I gotta ask you, man, like, because like I think a lot of people would strike out, and maybe off topic here, but some people say like, "Oh, karma," and maybe you or anybody who's with us can weigh in on your interpretation of karma, because if I hear like what you said of like he did you sideways, then he got done sideways.
Yeah.
To me, that's not karma. That's not the completion of the cycle.
Interesting. What would be the completion of the cycle then?
I feel like you know, my understanding of karma is that it's not karma until it's cycled to the point of where it's like love
Resolved.
and peace.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not that like you got hurt. It's that you've learned a lesson, that
Yes.
you've apologized, that you know it's come the full circle. That's karma. But it, like the way I've seen it is, you know, you did me bad, and now bad shit's gonna happen to you. Karma's gonna happen to you, right? That's the way I see karma used in most of
Yes.
the language. Do you feel the same way, or is it a cycle of karma that brings back to like a reconciliation?
What
or
you just said
love
is
or peace?
different. I was under the impression of the former, wherein if you did it to me, I mean, if you're Hindu, it's karma. If you're Christian, do not do unto others what you do not want others to do unto you. If you're agnostic, it's do unto others what you want others to do unto you. If you're a hipster, it's what goes around comes around. So
Yeah.
it's a universal principle, right?
Yeah, it's that golden rule type of thing.
Yes.
And like you said, Hindu or Buddhism,
Yeah.
like, what I've seen is that it's more about that state, that
But-
enlightenment, you know.
I
that's like-
there you go. That's new because yes, I mean, wouldn't it be nice that you know what? Okay, fine. So you did me wrong. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut because when it happens to you, I am under the impression that you will come to terms with yourself, and maybe just maybe you know you'd reach out and say, you know what, I get it now,
Yep.
and it's happened to me
Yeah. Yep.
a lot of times.
Yep. Paco, this is I think this is probably one of the, to the core of musings, like one of the more compelling conversations for me. And I can tell you I'm probably going to go home and be in this conversation all night in my head. I appreciate everybody who's joined on, and hopefully
Yeah.
it resonates with you as well. That, you know, when we talk about health and wellness and fitness and all of this, part of mental health is really like the triggers, the stimuli around us, right? And our network, our family, all of that is part of it. The way that we engage with that network,
Yeah.
and I'll call family network as well, but the way we engage with them is really going to drive or influence our mental health in such a way that I think it deserves a lot of attention. You
Yes.
know, integrity, as you mentioned, you know, not stabbing in the back, not having intention that is not right here on the table with each other, right? Like, you know, we should know
Yeah.
what our benefit to each other is, whether it's if it's a business benefit or if it's like, you know, hey, we just got each other's back.
Yeah.
Whether it's in business, whether it's in,
in relational. Like, you remember when something happened to me and we were having tacos and you said, like you were even telling me, if I was there, that would have happened.
Yep. Well, same topic. Do you remember the BLM
Yeah.
protests?
Yes.
If you will. Right here on the street, they protested and we had to board up the whole street, right? And I was a little bit worried. We didn't have any problems, but I was a little bit worried about just the property and, everything that was going on at that time, right? And I told a friend, we were talking, and it's a great guy. I shout him out, Mike Chu. He's a local CEO of hospital. I think I might have mentioned it to you before.
Maybe.
Local CEO of many hospitals over the years. But he's like, bro, I got you, man. Like, he's a Korean gentleman. Grew up in like LA, like the ghetto part of LA.
Yeah.
But his family owned businesses during the riots. The
90s?
Yeah.
Rodney King?
Yes. He's like, bro, you don't even know. Like I'll be over there. Like we'll be on the roof, and he was ready to. I was like, dude, like.
But that gesture was...
Oh, man. Exactly what you
right?
Yeah. I was like, and we still talk about it sometimes. Like, you're like, did anybody else? And I was like, fuck no, man. Like, you were the only one who was like, he's that type of guy. And we don't even have like a long relationship. But when we said we're friends,
that's it.
that was gold for this guy.
Yes.
So, I got to say that I'm really happy with the circle I have. You are
Thank you.
right in that circle.
Likewise.
I'd love to meet some more people, some good people out there. I'm not, I guess I'm content with what I have, but also would love to meet others that I can learn from and can trust in. But when I look at the 5 to 10 that are around me, I know my trajectory. I know the stories. I should say I know the caliber of the stories that we'll come out with together here on the episode, the impact we'll have in each other's lives, which we've had it for 15 years.
Yes,
Grace,
sir.
Grace, who's online with us, I've known her 20 years at least. Her husband, same thing.
Glenn, yeah.
My wife was like, "Oh my God, do you remember? I knew you in Glendora." He's like, "No way, I don't remember." But these relationships have been decades. They've done a lot of good for a lot of people, including the network itself.
Right.
But I feel like when we have that higher purpose of serving people, of educating and empowering people, a small circle can do a lot, but we still need that MLM mentality of, more people, right? So anybody who's with us, share, subscribe. What's the right way to say this, Bago? Hit the bell.
Hit the bell
all those
icon.
sort of things,
hit the subscribe button. And to Brian's point, road to 10K.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep the conversation within some of those healthcare worlds. I think we took a little bit of a break tonight, but again, it still plays towards mental wellness, right? And peace and professional.
And you know what?
Wellness.
Let's end it with if we're on the topic of just general health, right? You know what? Between you and me, you're more exposed to big data with regard to health and wellness. And when I had that labs result scare and it was affecting me mentally, I will never forget what you said when you said, "You're not there yet." It was my choice to believe you or not. Unfortunately, I did not. That's why I went a downward spiral of panic attack and anxiety and all, right? But it just proved that what you said, what Janelle said, because my wife is a nurse, it's a stark reminder that I should listen to the experts.
Well, I think also, it's good that you're questioning things, though. Listening to the expert. I mean, my mom is that times 100, man.
Oh,
man. Like, you got, the worst. Serious. Like, I got a ingrown hair. Oh, it might be cancer. Like spray some Windex. Not really. But your mind can manifest a lot too. And I know, like when we were talking, you were like, I got some stuff that we were just talking about that. I got it.
Right.
So I'm thinking about back to one of the shorts that we had with another episode with you, where you talked about a conversation you had with your wife, and it was like, if I could touch one heart, right?
That's it.
Then job done.
Yep. Mission accomplished,
Reward,
yeah.
mission accomplished, right? And when we talk about health, like if you say, if we're ending tonight, kind of just reverting back to health. If we can just think about it, if we can get people thinking about it enough to go like, hey, let me get my labs drawn. And then again, go like, because I told you, I said like, the doctor will be alerting
Yes.
you, right? And then I asked you a
Yes.
bunch of questions that they asked you eventually as well, right?
Yes.
Like, were you hydrated?
Yes.
Did you, all this sort of stuff. And then your labs came back normal after that. You made some corrections and how you took the approach, right? But yeah, listening to the experts. But that doesn't mean like be blind,
No.
Like I would never say like, I will never say this. Put all your trust in the doctors. I will never say put all your faith in the guy who's preaching. Obviously he's preaching for a higher power, right? But I think that it's always important to check.
Yes.
I teach people, oh, you've been doing it for 25 years. You're Yoda, whatever. Like, check me, read the book, find the citations and the references, right? Get your labs, look at the reference ranges.
Yeah.
When they're out of range, ask questions. Don't diagnose yourself.
Don't believe it right. Yeah.
Don't diagnose yourself,
Yes,
because you can read online that here's the reference range, right? And if you're over here, you're pre-diabetic, you're CKD, whatever it is. And then you go back and then you get the result and the doctor says, well, did you fast today? Were you hydrated this day?
True.
Were you sick? There's a
And
number
you know
of
what?
things that can
See,
affect
those were the things that you told me. If our relationship was transactional, and if you were having a bad day, you could have simply brushed me off. Because what do you care?
No.
And that's what I mean. Like our friendship, friends will not allow friends to be in a bad mental state.
Yeah. That friends and family should not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my health piece.
Well, I think that's a great concluding statement, that friends, family will not let each other be in a bad mental space. I'm going to take that home, Paco. I hope that all of you who joined us tonight, thank you for the time. I hope you'll take that home, share it with others as well. We got to take care of each other on a physical. We got to take care of each other on a mental. And
Emotional.
If we're emotional, and if we're doing business together, we got to take care of each other as well. Like, maybe another day we talk about quid pro quo.
Yes. Yes.
And the ethics behind that, but also the realism of it. I think we've addressed it pretty well today, that we don't expect, but there is such a thing.
It's an unspoken, right?
Yeah. It's implicit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think between friends, that shouldn't be offensive.
No, not at all. Not at all. Paco, thanks again. Janelle, Grace, Brian, Key and Homer.
Yeah.
Everybody who chimed in, Camilla. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Make sure you check our social medias. What do we have now? The TikTok, Facebook,
LinkedIn.
Instagram, and LinkedIn. So if you haven't found us, it's just the same handle across all of them, Musings with Morales. Really starting to build a community, and thankful for all of you for being a part of it. Have a good night. Paco, thank you so much, man.
This episode has been brought to you by Dialysis Education Services.